Yes, Kenya. Tamu sana, yes. There is a story that has been shared out by the Star some few minutes ago as I speak. Bottom-up plan lacks implementation framework, PAC. If you go through that story, the Parliamentary Budget Office of the Public Service Commission has censured Kenya Kwanza's bottom-up economic plan for lacking implementation, breakdown of various interventions, and their completion timelines. The team states in its assessment of the cost implications of the shillings 2.67 trillion manifesto, dubbed the plan that whereas it presents plausible proposals, it also lacks the criteria for prioritizing beneficiaries of the interventions. Further, the specific commitments have neither been ranked by order of priority nor sequenced as proposed in the plan. This poses a key limitation in assessing the cost estimate of delivering the manifesto. The report states, yes. In this video, as usual, I want us to dig deep into that story to see what it means, what it portends for William Ruto's manifesto, and more so, what it portends to the millions of hustlers across the country. Before we do that, if you're watching us for the very first time, subscribe, give this video a like. Yes. When William Ruto was campaigning for the presidency, we saw him signing some charters with various groups, women groups, the youths, agricultural sector. There were quite so many. And that's what Kenya Kwanza dubbed bottom-ups. And they were consistently talking about that bottom-ups. Today, Parliamentary Service Commission is just confirming that all those things, all those charters can't be implemented because there is no framework of implementing them. And even if there was a framework, the amount needed to implement them is just too much, unrealistic. Yes, because in its first year of implementation alone, in the first year alone, the government will require about 427 billion Kenya shillings. That's somehow quarter of the budget. And that's somehow again an equal amount being sent every year to all the 47 counties. So that amount is genuinely too much. The government can't afford that. That means that that whole issue of bottoms up, the charters, will never see light of day. That's something coming out clearly. And then besides the charters, William Ruto was also running around the country promising other groups. You know, there were quite so many promises that tutaweka 50 billion hapa, 50 billion pale. And William Ruto has also promised that come December, he is going to launch the Hustlers Fund. From the look of things, that Hustlers Fund will also just die its own natural death. I don't think it will head anywhere. I don't think it will head anywhere. And even identifying those beneficiaries who will benefit from that Hustlers Fund is also a big challenge. Because there is also no framework on how those hustlers will be identified. So it's almost certain and very clear that maybe those who will benefit if at all the funds will be there, those who will benefit for the time being, for the meantime, will most likely be people close to these leaders. So again, that Hustlers Fund William Ruto is set to launch come December might also not benefit the hustlers. It might just be another avenue for corruption. Let's dig deep, ladies and gentlemen, to understand exactly what is happening here. Yes. That report by Parliamentary Service Commission also just confirms that indeed William Ruto was lying to Kenyans. He was talking of things he never meant, and things he knew clearly he could not implement. That report just confirms that. And I believe this is the end of all this thing called bottom-ups. It's something that will never see light of day. So if hustlers were waiting for those promises, they are not there. I also listened to William Ruto today talking, and he was saying that the government might be forced to stop or pause some ongoing projects because there is no money. And these projects are just meant to help the poor masses. Yes, Mama Mboga, Boda Boda. Those projects are meant to help them. So by William Ruto's government stopping the projects, it means Mama Mboga, Boda Boda is going to suffer more. Assuming there was a road to be built, should the road be stopped, then businessmen, or rather the traders, Mama Mboga, business will clearly be hampered there. If an hospital was to be built somewhere, and then it stopped, the hustlers will actually suffer. I'm seeing a very high possibility where Kenyans, as time goes by, are going to suffer more. And the funny bit of it, as the government intends on stopping those ongoing projects, we are seeing William Ruto and his team dishing out money to some churches. Just last week, I think this week, and last week, we saw William Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua in a church in Murang'a where they gave out about 5 million Kenya shillings. And then here we are seeing William Ruto saying some projects will be stopped because there is no money. And we also saw the government donating food, relief food, to Somalia. So you are seeing clearly that William Ruto's government has got its priorities wrong. Ruto believes in politics of handouts, but he does not believe in development. I think that's something that Kenyans should see clearly and take that seriously. Ruto believes in politics of handouts, not development. And this is why some of us have been castigating William Ruto for giving handouts. Because the money you are wasting in giving those handouts, that money should be channeled into development. It's now coming out clearly. There is no money for development, but there is money for giving handouts. And again, I'm saying it's William Ruto's government is finding it wrong because as much as there is no money in government, we have seen William Ruto has expanded his government. He has increased more positions. And as he increases those positions, projects are being reduced or being stopped. So what are these positions created? What are these new positions created for? If government projects will be reduced now, you are seeing clearly wrong priorities here. A government that is clueless and that they don't know on what should come first. if there is no money in the treasury, then you should not be creating more positions, because those positions will just be eating more money. Rather, they will just require money. And now these poor hustlers, who are meant to benefit from these government projects that are being stopped, will also be required to pay more in taxes to maintain these added positions. As I conclude, William Ruto's government is totally confused. William Ruto's government is coming out as a government that was not ready. Ruto and his team were not ready to form a government. In our next video, we are also working on a story where William Ruto just said they are not interested in taking more loans, while just some few days ago, William Ruto was in Britain and he negotiated for some loans there. Stay tuned by subscribing. To any other person who wants to support our channel, as usual, I've pinned my number on the comment section. Contact me through the number or feel free to channel your contribution to the number. God bless you. God bless Kenya.